All praise to Yahweh, by Hashem Hawashah, double honor to the apostles and the brothers, speak the truth around the world. Shalom. You're going to read here Matthew chapter 24. Hold on, sorry. Matthew chapter 24. And they shall appear the Son of Man in heaven, and they shall all the tribe of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man come in the cloud of heaven with power and great glory, and he shall send his angel with a great sound of trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Right when that time comes, destroy the world. We gotta get home with 31. And he shall send his angel with a great sound, a trumpet. They shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one into heaven to the other. We're going to skip 34, verse 40, 34. Verily I say unto you, the generation shall not pass till all those things be fulfilled, and heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away. But of the day and the hour no man know not, the angel of heaven, but my Father only. But as the day of Noah was, so it shall also come of the Son of Man be. For as in the day that was before the flood, they were eating and drinking and marriage and giving marriage unto the day that Noah entered into the ark, and they know not until the flood came and took them all away, so they should also to come of the Son of Man be. All right, that's when that day comes. And he was warning them to repent and change their life and seek into the Most High. They didn't do that. They was went on their own life and they was doing. And before you know it, the flood came. And it was all gone. Daniel chapter 12 and 1. Daniel chapter 12 and 1. And after the time shall Michael stand up, and the great prince was standing for the children of the people, and they shall be a time of trouble, sure as never was seen there was a nation ever to that sometime at the time that people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book. Every one that shall be found written in the book, and many of those sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some in everlasting life, and some to a shame and everlasting content. And that be wise shall shine as brightness of the firmaments, and that turn many to righteousness as a star forever and ever. though Daniel shut up the words and sealed the book, even the time of the end, many should run and follow, and knowledge should be increased. And that's what's going on. Knowledge should be increased at that time. It's going to be Jacob trouble. And they ain't never seen the nations ever sometime. So we're going to watch this video.
I'm gonna share this dream with you guys, and I'm not trying to make you believe me at all. So I could care less if you guys believe me or not. I'm just gonna release it to you, and what you decide to believe me or blow me off as someone that's crazy, that's up to you. But I'm gonna just share with you. Man, if you see my eyes are puffy, I've literally just been crying in the presence of God right now, man. And God says, share it. Share the dream with them. So in 2016, when I first got saved, I was at my sister's house, right? I was living with my sister at the time. Me and my wife are not together. And I was so happy, man, because I just got saved. I just encountered salvation, man. I just encountered the grace of God, God's forgiveness for my sin. And I was so happy. I left Abilene and I came to San Antonio. And I remember one night that I was laying in my bed and I started talking to God, and I said, Lord, why did you bring me here to San Antonio? You know, you could have brought me anywhere, Lord. Why did you bring me here to San Antonio? And God had already been speaking to me in my dreams that night, right? So I remember that night I prayed and I said, God, show me in a dream tonight. I want to know why you brought me here to San Antonio. Show me in a dream when I go to sleep tonight. Lord, please show me what's my purpose. Why did you bring me here, right? And so I was really, really excited because I could feel it. I could feel like God said, okay, I'm going to show you tonight. I could feel it. Like I knew when I went to sleep that night that he was going to show me something. So I said, okay, Lord, show me. So this night was different because the moment I lay down on my pillow, it was like the hand of God touched my head, like touched my face, and I instantly fell asleep. It was like I laid down. Most nights it takes me 20 minutes to go to sleep. I laid my head down. The moment my head touched the pillow, boom, I was gone, asleep, and in that fast I was awake and I was in my dream. It was literally that fast. So I was thinking, the Lord's going to show me something good, right? Because I knew he was going to speak to me. But when I opened my eyes in my dream, I was standing in this house. I was standing inside of this house. And the first thing that I remember it was so hot. I remember feeling the heat all around me. And I remember just going, man, why is it so hot in here? Why is it so hot in here? Right? And I was inside of this house and I began to look around. All the walls were burnt down. You could see through the walls into the next room. And the floor had holes in it. I looked up at the ceiling and the ceiling had holes in it. It was like a bomb had went off inside of this house. The walls were burnt black. The ceiling was burnt black. The floors were all burnt black. All the piping in the interior of the walls, you could see it. It was like destroyed. And I remember saying, man, what happened here? And so I saw where the door was, and in the dream I walked to the door and I went to go step outside. Well, the moment that I stepped outside, when my foot touched the concrete, because I was in an upstairs apartment, right? The moment that my foot touched the concrete, I felt the heat under my shoe and I jumped back into the apartment and I was like, man, why is it so hot out here? And I looked down at the bottom of my foot and my shoe was melted. The rubber on the bottom of my shoe was melted from where I had stepped on the porch. I hadn't even stepped in the street or nothing. And I just remember saying, like, why is it so hot in here? I couldn't escape this heat, right? And I remember that I ran to the shower and I went to go turn on the water so that I could cool myself off. But when I turned the water, I burned my hand on the handle because the handle was so hot. And when I turned the water on, hot steam began to come out of the shower, right? There was no cold water. It was completely hot. It was like the atmosphere of where I was so hot, it had heated up the whole entire building. It had heated up all the water in the pipes, and nothing but steam was coming out. But here's the crazy part. I jumped into the shower and I was cooling off with this hot water, because as hot as that water was, it was cooler than the atmosphere that was outside. If that makes sense, that was crazy, right? I was in this hot, steamy water, cooling myself off, because although this water was steaming and burning me, it was cooler than the atmosphere from outside. And I remember, how hot is it that I have to be in this hot water and it's cooler than outside? And so it's like the Lord is taking me in the spirit, right? So I went back outside and I looked up. And you know, in a normal sky, when we see blue sky, right? And we see white clouds. Well, when I looked up, the sky was completely red. As far as you could see in every direction, the sky was completely red, and there was black clouds that were swirling around. The sky was no longer blue, and there was no longer no white clouds. The sky was red, and the clouds were solid black. It looked like smoke, and they were twirling, right? So I went downstairs into the parking lot, and I remember looking at the rails to the steps as I'm going downstairs. The rails were glowing red. You know, like when you turn on a stove and the coils get hot and they begin to glow when you're about to cook something? Well, the stair railings were glowing red hot from where they had been heated up in the atmosphere. And I just kept saying, why is it so hot here? And I remember looking across the street and I saw a light pole, a metal light pole, and the light pole was growing red hot. Again, like a coil on a stove. It was glowing from where it had been heated up so much. And the moment my feet touched the asphalt, my shoes began to melt again. What I looked, as far as I could see, every car that was on the street was completely burnt up. And the rubber to the tires was no longer there. They had completely melted. Only thing that was there was a liquid pile of rubber around each one of the rims, from where the atmosphere was so hot that it had melted the tires. There was nothing left inside of the car. And anything that was caught in any seatbelt, all that was gone. Only thing that was left was the metal frame, and it was glowing red again, like the light pole in the steps where it had been heated up. And I remember saying, why is this so hot? Why is this so hot? And as I was taking a deep breath, I remember the air was so hot that it was burning my lungs. And I remember the moment I took a breath, it felt like my throat had closed up. And I looked all around me, and there was little flames just popping up out of nowhere all around me. It was like the atmosphere on earth was getting so hot. Amen. The atmosphere on earth was getting so hot, it was like it was beginning to ignite, because little flames of fire were jumping out of nowhere, like spontaneous combustion, just jumping. And I remember, wow, one part in the dream, I remember that I was separated from my wife. I didn't see her, I didn't talk to her, but I knew that she was not there. I knew that she was in another city, and she was about maybe 50 miles from me. And I thought for a moment, well, you know what? Maybe I'll go walk and I'll go find her, right? But in my dream, I realized there's no way that I could get to her, because it's so hot out here. I couldn't even take 5 steps out into this atmosphere. There was no way I would.
Micah. Chapter 4 and 1. Micah chapter 4 and 1. No, Micah, excuse me. For behold, the day come that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yet that they do wicked shall be stoned, and the day that comes shall burn them up, said the Lord of hosts, that it shall lead them not a root or branch, but unto your that build fear my name shall the Son of Righteousness arise and heal in his wings, and he shall go forth and grow and up the cleave. Yeah, so let they come. Behold, that they come is be burned, nuclear destruction, all kind of the angels come destroy this land, this wicked land. And we did again, Mordecai chapter 4:1. For behold, the day come that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud and all that do wicked shall be burnt and stubborn, and the day that come shall burn them up, said the Lord of hosts, that it shall lead them not a root or branch. Right, root or branch. That day come. It's gonna come as a thief as a night and destroy all the proud and the wicked. That's what's gonna happen. But with that, go here. All praise to Yahweh. By Hashem, how shout down unto the apostles and the brother, speaking the truth around the world. So